On behalf of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May, Mike Morrice, MP for Kitchener Centre, we just wanted to comment briefly on the fascinating debate which has occupied us now up until day 6. It looks like we'll be resuming it again after Thanksgiving, so we can be grateful for a small break while we gather with family and friends and bow our heads. I did get a chance to speak for a full 20 minutes on what the Green Party of Canada makes of the SDTC issue. I wanted to clarify that I think at this point, having served in this place since 2011, recent events represent a new low in lack of civility coupled with lack of productivity. It's an enormous waste of time and waste of money for Canadians. It's not to say, and I want to underline this, je veux souligner que ce n'est pas un enjeu qui manque d'importance. C'est clair qu'il y a les choses qui ont passé dans le Conseil pour le développement durable et technologique que ce n'est pas acceptable. It's never acceptable when you have a board of directors and a chair of a board of directors who ignore conflict of interest guidelines. But that is not to say that this is an example of liberal patronage, slush funds. We've seen no evidence whatsoever, and I keep asking the Conservatives for some evidence, that Annette Verschuren was in any way a liberal insider. I have been able to find that she advised Jim Flaherty, that Stephen Harper appointed her to the Economic Advisory Council in the 2008 financial crisis. She's a very highly respected business leader and clearly violated conflict of interest guidelines. It should go to committee, it should go to study, and all the documents should be provided. But what we're seeing right now in Parliament between the accusations and somewhat slanderous accusations within Parliament against each other, between official opposition and the government and others, this is not acceptable. We need to do better. I'll just give it to Mike Morrice for a moment.
Great. We can leave it
Okay.
to
Well,
from there.
any questions for either of us en français ou anglais?
There was a motion brought forward to move closure on the debate. Would you support it?
Oui, bien sûr.
We're also not continuing to speak on the motion. Elizabeth had a 20-minute speech on it already. If this were about the substance of the motion, it would have been voted on already. We'd move on with the rest of the business of the House that Canadians expect parliamentarians to be here to work to solve.
One of the things I tried to point out that hasn't been raised very much is that when you look at the Auditor General's report and the one that preceded it from the Commissioner for Environment and Sustainable Development in 2017 actually, that examined the same fund, the concern was that advertised achievements in reducing greenhouse gases were not being achieved. Quite a number of these fall in the category of carbon capture, utilization, and storage, where the beneficiaries have been the oil sands and big oil. So it's not the case that a bunch of greeny projects were getting money shoveled to them because they were liberals. There is an important investigation to take place here, but it is much more layered than what we hear in most of the rhetoric in the House.
Should have done the streaming tax differently, and he wants you to scrap it in his words. What do you say to him?
Well, first of all, it's not a streaming tax. And second of all, Bryan Adams had and still has a great career, and I have a lot of admiration for him, and I'm glad that he's participating in this broad conversation. But to be quite frank, the system that the Canadian government is putting in place is mostly for emerging artists and for our local artists in Canada. And if you talk to them, they're going to tell you that online streaming platforms don't pay them enough, and also that it's hard for them to be discovered on these streaming platforms. And this is what the legislation that we passed is intended for. It's to help local Canadian artists both get better pay and also get discovered on these streaming platforms. So we're going to keep on moving forward with this. It's in the hands of the CRTC right now. They made one first decision. It's for a base contribution that Canadian companies have been making for years, and that support the entire Canadian ecosystem. And it was the right thing to do back a few decades ago, and it's still the right thing to do today.
Thank you.